Greetings, automotive enthusiasts. Today we have round 2 for you on the 75 Mercury Grand Marquis. This is the follow-up video to the first one. I give you the video when we first got the car and kind of showed it to you before we did some recon work to it. Van Gogh did a 3-stage paint correction on it, and Dr. Vinyl did some coloring on some of the discolored plastics on the inside. So here we are, and got a little never dull on the chrome and on the stainless trim, just bringing her back up to snuff. So go ahead and just do a quick little walk around. And what's really interesting is I'm going to show you some stuff on the car. So before the car was polished, there's some things that I didn't even notice about the car. And then once it got polished up, it's amazing what detail comes out of the car. So I do want to, so we'll kind of go over and we'll kind of go around it. This will be a lot quicker, but you can see we cleaned up the little headlight doors. There's still a little bit of discoloration. We haven't used any, you can probably take some peroxide on there or whatever and clean it up a little bit, but that's just soap and water cleaning on that. The bumpers came out absolutely gorgeous. All of the chrome work. Just got a little never dull on it. And it all came, and just because it had a real kind of a hazy, just a, collection of goo over all the years. All right. And then if you'll remember in the video, the scratches, so we'll get some direct light here, but you see, look at that. All those scratches are out of the car, and the car just absolutely, it just totally pops now. Couldn't be happier. So one thing I do want to note, and I didn't notice this in the first video, but if you look right here, this section of the car, between these two moldings right here, so this whole section all the way down the car has been repainted. I thought this was all original paint, but that has been repainted. I'll do paint meter readings on it and everything. It's just, I believe it was just painted. Probably maybe somebody came and keyed the car or something, but so that has been repainted. The top of the car is original. The bottom of the car is original, but like I said, I did notice that, and we'll put some paint meter readings, and you can just barely see, I mean, you have to be looking for it, but you can just tell that that section has been repainted. Again, all of the chrome and all the bright work just came out beautifully. So one thing we did here, there was a mud flap on the car. It was like a dealer add-on. We went ahead and pulled that off just to clean up the look of the car. They'll be included in the trunk of the car. So we did take that off, and we also took off the front tag bracket, and so that is in the car. Luckily that bolts underneath, so it doesn't leave anything ugly on it. And so it still has its little mark right there. And since this has been repainted, I don't think it would be a foul if a person went right here and just kind of did this panel. I'm not gonna do that, but if somebody wanted to make this car almost flawless, that you could do that. But you can see the little scrape is still there. Polished out nice, but you can still see the indentation. There's still the one little bitty ding right here. And I did not want to pull the door panel to PDR that. I really didn't want to. You could probably glue pull it, but I did pass on PDR-ing that little ding. And there was a little nick right there, and it's kind of touched up and not very noticeable. Again, you can see a little bit. That is just ever so slightly, and you can tell by the finish, it's just ever so slightly different. So we cleaned the top up. There's our Brougham crest. Looks really nice. Cleaned the top up. It didn't get super aggressive with the top. Just got a brush and some light cleaner. Didn't want to get too aggressive on the top, but it turned out really, really nice. I kind of like the little, the dirt in there actually gives it some, kind of gives it some depth, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I showed you the wheel covers and everything. We actually polished up the wheel covers too with the Never Dull. So you can kind of see those. I'll go ahead and do the front one here while I'm here. So you can see that we did polish those out. Coming around the back, looking, so there was a lot of scratches and, you know, a lot of swirls and all that stuff in the paint. And actually, I've been driving this car for several months since it's had the paint correction. So I've been driving it, so it's probably not as shiny as it was when it just got done. But I just cannot help myself. I love this car, and we've been using it for just special occasions and dinner and all that fun stuff. So there is the rear bumper. Like I said, it polished out really nice. And looking down the right side here, looks really nice. And there's another paint thing that we noticed here on the right side. So this panel here has been painted, the top and the bottom. So this whole fender has been painted. I mean, it's been painted, I mean, a long time ago. So it really kind of fits the age of the rest of the paint. And then the lower half, so the upper half of this door appears to be original paint, and then the lower half of the door matches the fender. So it's kind of like this got painted and then dropped down, and the lower half of the door got painted. The quarter panel, I believe, is all original paint. Deck lid, whole top side of the car is original. And you can see that. Right rear wheel, and then the right front wheel. Looks fantastic. Here's our mirror again. Just so happy with the way the bright work. Like I said, this was done several months ago. So I'm just now getting to doing the follow-up video. Because as we did things, I just continued to drive the car. I guess that maybe defeats the purpose of making it perfect, but it is what it is. I love it and gonna have some fun with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood and we'll take a peek under the hood. All right, so we got the hood open here. The hood pad we didn't do anything with. Obviously, I doubt it's even, I don't know if it's even available or not. But so that's the original hood pad. So all we really did underneath the hood here is went ahead and just did a light. We just basically, I just sprayed it carefully and just took a little brush and a little soap and water and just kind of dusted it off under here. And like I said, and this was some time ago. There's no chemicals or nothing on this engine bay. It is just as it is. Not, you know, got a bunch of that greasy spray on it or anything like that. So we did have it over at Omega Auto Clinic, and the wizard he put a new clutch on the AC compressor, and then he put a new belt on it. And he actually put all new belts on, and we went ahead and kept the original belts, and there will be in the trunk of the car because they are super cool with Motorcraft embossed into the belts. So we did put new belts on, but kept the original belts. So just kind of giving you a little looky-loo around the engine bay. After this car sits, I mean, I'm sure it's fairly normal, but after this car sits for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, these headlight doors are operated in vacuum, and well, actually you can see they're starting to creep up now. So the vacuum slowly bleeds off, and the default position for the headlight doors is up. That way, if you lost vacuum, you don't lose your headlights. The last thing you want is your headlight doors covering your lights. But anyway, I wouldn't really call that a a fault, but it is what it is. So when you park the car at night and you come back in the morning, expect to see the headlight bulbs. So I really didn't have to do too much to it. And I've put, oh geez, I've probably put, I mean, maybe close to 1,000 miles on this car since I bought it. So I know the car well and have shaken it down. So let's take a quick peek in the trunk here and we'll show you what's in the trunk. Okay, showing you what's in the trunk here. So here is the front license plate bracket. And you could put that back on if you wanted to. And then this is the rubber mat. I'm gonna put that rubber mat back in after I show the interior. And so just to protect it and cover it, but obviously want to show you the mats as they are. And there's a couple license plate frames that were with the car. There's the mud flaps that came off the car. That one had a crack in it, so I put a piece of tape on it so it didn't fall apart. I already did all the trunk and stuff, so you guys have seen that in the previous video. And I'll just lift that up, I guess, but it's perfect underneath. The carpet is absolutely perfect. So I will show you now the updates in the interior. All right, here we are. So if you look at the first video, you'll notice that these plastic panels right here, they were discolored. The door panel looked nice, the armrest looked nice, and these, because just the different material, didn't hold the dye or the color or whatever you want to call it. And so now look how nice it looks. It looks just like the rest of it. Because before, when you would open the car, you know, it would just kind of stand out like a sore thumb, but now you open the car and it looks pretty much original. There was one little scratch in the color. I don't even remember where it's at, but there was a scratch, and Dr. Vinyl touched that up and you can't even see it anymore. There was a little scratch there. I'm gonna go ahead and show you in the back here. Okay, so these interior panels were, you know, just an ugly, just horrible kind of discolored, brownish looking color. And now you can see that they look really good. And then also here, the metal pieces were nice and white, and then the plastic pieces were discolored again. And we matched the plastic pieces to the metal, and now you can't even tell which ones are which. I'll go to the other side and show you that. You've seen the carpets. They're mint condition, and the pedals. Just to give you another refresher there. Perfect. And the current mileage is 18,314, and the car will get parked at this point. So we'll go around to the other side here. One thing to note too, and we never did fix it, but the rear regulators do not work. You can hear the motor run, but the regulators on both rear quarter windows are in op. Doesn't really cause any problems. They actually changed that feature and they made them fixed. Only early 75s have the power quarter wind regulators. So it might be fun to take them apart, and you could probably have them repaired. Well, the ashtray is open. I guess we can look in there while it's open. And here is the passenger door panel. And you can see that plastic looks really nice. What we did, I didn't pull the door panel off. He taped it up and sprayed around it because we didn't want to break all the clips and everything holding the door panel on. So we did not remove the door panel. Here is the passenger seat. Didn't really do anything to that. And passenger floorboard, just like it is in the first video. Dash is pristine. So let's go ahead and pop the seat here so you can see from this side. And again, so I pulled these off the car because there was just 2 screws holding that on. We pulled them off, pulled the armrest off, pulled it so it had just a plastic piece, and he painted that. And the plastic trims there. I believe the bottom was plastic and the top piece is metal. So just that top piece is metal, and then the pieces going downward, discolored yellow. So that is our tour of the interior. So let me go ahead and grab our paint meter and we'll take some readings all over the car. All right, just one more little interior thing here. Putting it back to the way that we received the car. So they actually had somebody make like a homemade little pad, and that was sitting right there on the car. And then here we got in our plastic mats. Kind of cool. I just dig the little star, and we didn't clean them or anything. I think you could go and clean them up and make them look nice. But they did their job of preserving the car all of these years, since 1975. Golly, that's getting up there in age. So there is the plastic cover. We're gonna go ahead and just leave those on now to protect the car. So I thought you might get a kick out of seeing it, what it looks like with the rubber mats in place. All right, we're on the left front fender. Upper half, lower half. Go ahead and do the upper half back here. Lower half, upper half, lower half, upper half on the front of the quarter. So you can see how it's a little heavier paint there. And original at the back. Let's go ahead and do all the way back to the back of the quarter. Upper half, lower half. Yep, just what I expected. Here's the quarter panel. Okay. And the deck lid. Okay. Upper quarter panel. Upper quarter panel. Same original. There we go. Front half of the quarter panel. Bottom half of the front of the quarter panel. Okay, door. Top half of the door, bottom half of the door. Yep, exactly like I said, the bottom half's painted, top half is not. Back half of the fender top. Lower half. Go ahead and do the front corner, just to show you there's no good to go there. Top of the fender. And the hood again. Oh. Huh, I guess the paint's thinner. I guess just from the age of it. Huh, interesting. Well, there are your paint meter readings. Now, next up, we're gonna go ahead and get this guy up on the lift and we'll give you a tour underneath the car. All right, we got the Grand Marquis up on the lift. Also, I do wanna note that I did a full deluxe market report on this car, and that will go with the car. I'll put pictures in the picture gallery to kind of show, but there's some fascinating information on the market report about this car. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Here is our left quarter. Absolutely perfect. Underside of the back bumper. Still some cobwebs in there. Just some little surface rust on it. That's what catches everything. And you can see the rear body panel. You can see this car's never been in a collision, at least not back here. There is our fuel tank. Big old son of a gun. Check this out. This car is one of the last cars, I believe, to actually run true dual exhaust. So that's really cool. Rear brakes, the Wizard did rebuild the wheel cylinders and the rear brakes, so this has brand new rear brakes and wheel cylinders. So I forgot to mention that. The shocks on the car are great. Both sides, he did both sides obviously. And flushed out the whole braking system and bled it and everything. So the brakes are really nice on the car. So wow, we don't even, look at that. A little bit of sweating right there, but just absolutely dry on the rear end. No leaking around the axles. No leaking at the front seal. Just a little sweating on the housing there. It's amazing. I'm gonna say this is original exhaust. Oh, there you go, Ford. Look at that, the original exhaust on this car. I mean, exhaust, I mean, you can't fault a car when the exhaust goes bad because moisture gets collected in it every time you start the car, and if you don't get the car up to full operating temperature, then it just sits in there, and every time you start the car, it has moisture in it, then it sits in there and as a pool and just rusts away. So you can't, you know, when a car has a rusted muffler, you don't fault the car for it. But this car, the original mufflers, and it's really quiet too. But that's just amazing. Looking down the frame there and the rockers, you can see that everything is very nice. Yeah, you can see the original notches and the lineups. That's pretty amazing, to be honest with you. That's, for a car for 1975, that is a significant deal in my book. Y'all can consider it how you like. No rust on this car. Here's our tranny. Transmission shifts perfectly. Tranny pan is dry. Even has the original catalytic converters. Look at that. See Ford right there on it. Original converters. That's got to be like the first converters on a car. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Only one side has a converter? That's interesting. One side has a converter, the other side does not. That's factory. There's our ball joints, a little bit of grease around the boot there. I think that's just from being greased. I don't think the boot is bad. Totally dry. Brakes are dry. Brakes work perfectly. As you can see where that's just grease being pushed out from when the car has been serviced. It's kind of cool that you can actually grease these ball joints. You don't have that kind of stuff anymore. Brakes are dry, no leaking. Shocks are dry. Car rides down the road like an absolute dream. Okay, the one issue with the car that I will note here, you'll see there's a drop of oil right there. So the rear main seal is leaking a little bit. And it's not bad, but it will leave drops on, on the ground. And you can see there's a droplet formed right there. It's not a massive leak. Actually, it seems like the more I've been driving it, it seems like actually the better it's been getting. I think the seal's softening up a little bit, but that's one of the things probably from sitting that is kind of to be expected. So just put a little, one of those oil absorbent pads underneath the car. That's what I do. And it catches it, and it's not bad enough. You can see it's not making a mess or anything. A little bit of oil blow back onto this line right here in that pan, but again, pretty minor. Oil pan is bone dry. Front main seal is dry. A little bit of sweating there, but dry in my book. Car has flush fluids, fresh oil, fresh coolant. Tranny fluid is fresh, brake fluid is fresh. It doesn't squeak or anything. A lot of times you think these bushings would be old, but look, see, they're not even hard. They're soft and pliable still. Because this car obviously sat in a climate-controlled garage its entire life. Tires are brand new. Well, I say that, they got maybe about 1,000 miles on them now. Here, let's do the front bumper here. They didn't really paint this stuff with very good paint, so it always got some surface rust there. Everything is nice there. And looking at the fender here, look at that, there's not a speck of rust. Looking up underneath the front body, you can see the frame. These bolts have never been off, to my experience. I mean, this car's never, I mean, there maybe have been a key scratch or, you know, kid, you know, wrecked his bicycle into it. You know, there's a reason that there's some fresh paint on the car, but it has nothing to do with the metal. No collision, no wrecks. I mean, it is, that a lot of things can happen from 1975. So there is the underneath tour of the car. Underneath the bumper. It's still got that one little ding right there. So there you go.